So obviously you're here because you want to know how to master prospecting and build authority on YouTube to dominate your market, right? So if you have been struggling to get listings consistently or you feel invisible compared to other agents online, then this training is for you. I have a lot of slides that I'm going to be going over. Typically, I like to talk a lot, but now I have slides that you'll be able to look at, take pictures because it might go a little fast. So you might be like, what did Loida say? Take a picture and then we can talk about it later. If you have any questions, we'll save them for the end. So this is for those of you, whether you are a new agent struggling to book appointments, or maybe you're stuck under 6 figures in commissions and can't break through, or perhaps you're juggling a 9 to 5 and you want to go all in with real estate. Everything that I'm going to be covering, you'll hopefully be able to take and implement in your business immediately. So as soon as tonight or tomorrow, you can start making some of these changes. So who am I? I assume that pretty much all of you that are on here already know who I am. Maybe you saw me on YouTube. That's exactly how you came across my videos. But I have been in the business for 10 years. I built my business through cold calling and door knocking, expireds and for sale by owners. That is something that when I got into the business, I knew that top producers would always say, if you want to last in this business, you have to list homes. So one of the lowest hanging fruits were the expires and the for sale by owners. I knew that this was not going to be easy. These lead sources obviously are pretty tough to go after because you have to be ready with the objection handlers. But I knew that if I wanted to last and if I wanted to be in control of my time, listings would be what I wanted to do. So cold calling and door knocking, expires and for sale by owners. As you see here on the right, these are just some of my popular videos. I'm sure that a lot of you have seen these, my cold calls, my live expired cold calls, my for sale by owner cold calls, also live door knocking out in the street, and also my live listing presentation. So I have been creating content on YouTube for 10 years. So at this point, I'm at about 96,000 subscribers, over 500 videos. So this is something that I have built alongside while I have been prospecting and building my real estate business. So along the way, obviously I have coached thousands of agents. Many of you have actually reached out to me, and many of you probably have never connected with me, but you have implemented information that you've learned and it has worked for you. So if that is the case, I would love to know because I think it's always awesome when someone says, hey, Lloyd, I saw a video from, 5 years ago. I did what you said, and it actually got me my first listing and it works. So I would love to get your feedback or even want to know what was the first video that you ever saw of me. So if you want to drop that in the chat, that would be awesome. And something else, while prospecting, building my YouTube channel, this has allowed me to create multiple streams of income. And this is something that I love to talk about and I want to do more of, especially as I am continuing to put out content on my YouTube channel, is that I want you to know that as you are growing your real estate business, you don't have to prospect 24/7 forever for the rest of your life. It's funny because I feel that a lot of agents see me and they think that I'm the cold calling queen. That's what I get all the time. And it's like, yes, I cold call and I'm very good at it, but I'm also very good at creating content to the point that I don't have to make phone calls. And I want you to get to a spot where you're not making phone calls all the time and you're attracting business, which is something that you can do by, building authority on YouTube. So why do most agents fail? Let's begin with prospecting. Inconsistent prospecting. How many of you can relate to this guy right here? Where, you're dressed up, you're in front of your computer, you have your phone ready, and it's like you make the calls and something distracts you. Or maybe that distraction can be people are not even answering the phone. Or maybe you are getting people that are so upset and they're yelling at you and you're like, you know what? I need to take a break. Let me just go on social media. Let me go on Instagram, Facebook, start scrolling. And next thing you know, an hour or two passes by and you haven't really even done anything. So inconsistent prospecting, that's a big killer for agents. Another thing, call reluctance. How many of you can relate to this? Call reluctance, fear of rejection. I don't know about you, but this is still me sometimes where I look at my phone and I'm like, I know I need to press send and call, but I even make those faces where I'm like, ah. And, call reluctance is completely normal. The fear of rejection is also normal. And I don't want you to think like, oh, Loida, but you're so good and you've been doing this. Look, I was horrible in the beginning. And I remember waking up and being like, oh man, I do not want to call expireds or for sale by owners. I don't want to make calls at all. Like, do I really have to do this? Is there an easier way to get leads and get business? But I knew that I had to make the calls. So car reluctance, a lot of you might not even be comfortable picking up the phone. You have to do it, but you're still not doing it. Or maybe, how about this? You want to go door knocking, you find a partner, you go together, and it's like, all right, who's going to knock on the door first? And it's almost like you want a ding dong ditch. It's like, hopefully they don't open the door because I don't want to talk to them. Like, this was me many times as well. And again, a lot of agents fail because they are not comfortable with doing things that get them outside of their comfort zone. So, this was me. How many of you have seen this video? This was my very first for sale by owner call that I ever did in this business. And you know what? I recorded it. Looking back, I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I must have been feeling fearless because I recorded that call and I posted it on YouTube. So if you think your calls are bad, you guys should watch this video here. This was my very first live for sale by owner phone call that I did. If you watch it now, you'll see how awkward I was. I did sound like a robot. You can even see and hear what the for sale by owner was telling me. And at the end, I just said, okay, well, I'll keep in touch or whatever. I can't even remember. But if you take a look, there's a few things that I want to point out from this video. First of all, it was me stepping outside of my comfort zone, recording a video, making a live for sale by owner cold call. Aside from that, the quality of this video, yellow lights, it's probably like 720p. You can see my bed in the background, like it's a hot mess, but almost 64,000 views, over 132 comments, and this is one of my top videos on my YouTube channel. So one of the things that I want you to see is that you don't need high quality stuff. Not that you would be putting out something like this, because nowadays we all have cameras that can put out 4K quality content. But this just goes to show you when you're creating something that's relevant or that people want to see or that they can relate to, it's probably going to get views. And I'm going to get into more detail about that here in a couple of minutes. I see Donna put in the chat, I remember you doing calls outside in a patio. Was that you? Yes, it was. I wasn't doing calls, but I was doing a lot of videos that I would film outside because I was recording them with my cell phone. So I wanted to make sure that I had good lighting. So that's funny that you remember, Donna. But yeah, that goes way back. So why else do a lot of agents fail? Because a lot of times they're relying just on social media and referrals. Maybe you know of agents that they just want to post on Instagram or TikTok or say, you know what, I'm just posting a lot on these platforms because I want to get leads that way. Or maybe they're just relying on referrals. And what I mean by referrals, I mean, maybe they're just hoping that their friends, family members, people they know are going to send them business. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have thousands of people that I can just call and then they're ready to buy or sell a house every day. So, yes, referrals and social media is great, but at the same time, you need to be generating leads on your own because you can't rely on these people. I have seen many comments on different platforms, on different like forums, where agents say, you know what, I'm so bummed. My neighbor ended up selling their house and listing it with another agent, or my cousin listed their house with another agent, and this and that. So sometimes family members don't end up choosing you or wanting to work with you, or maybe even your friends that you thought were going to go with you end up going with someone else. And between you and me, I have seen from my experience that sometimes family members or close friends are the toughest to work with because they expect so much, and sometimes it has turned into a nightmare. So in a way, I kind of like working with strangers better because they know what the expectations are from the start and they don't try to wiggle around it and get things from me that they know they shouldn't be doing. And aside from that, a lot of agents also don't have an online presence. Nowadays with social media, it's so important for you to be online one way or another. And in the next couple minutes, I'm going to share with you, how to do that specifically with YouTube, but do it intentionally. So it's not just you posting random stuff, but you posting content and things that will make you seem like an authority figure in the real estate space. So what you're going to learn today, you're going to learn how to dominate prospecting and book consistent listing appointments, and also how to build authority with YouTube, even if you're just starting out. Now, if you have a YouTube channel or if you're just starting out, I want you to put a 1 in the chat because I want to get an idea as to where you're at. If you don't have any YouTube presence, just type in a 0. So 0 if you have nothing, 1 if you have started. 0. Okay, a lot of zeros. A lot of you are okay. So I am going to go ahead and assume that a lot of you that have the zeros, maybe you're not on YouTube, but you're like, I've heard that YouTube is a platform I got to be on. I just need to know what to do, right? Eduardo says, I'm 100% at cold calling though. Great. That's great. And Eduardo, I know you've messaged me some of your successes, so maybe we'll have you share some later. So be prepared for that. All right, so let's get to the dominate prospecting framework. So first, I want you to understand that you need to master the psychology of communication. A lot of times agents think that if you want to get good at prospecting, it's, I don't know, making a certain amount of calls or going after a specific lead source or calling during a specific time frame. And really, it all starts with communication. So tonality, let's begin with that. Tonality matters. How you say something is often more important than what you say. So something that I want you to write down is someone might not remember what you said, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Because depending on the tonality of how something is delivered, it's going to impact them either in a positive or in a negative way. So your tonality when you're calling, let's say you're calling an expired or a for sale by owner, or maybe you're at a listing appointment and someone says, so Jay, do you really think that you can sell this house? If I say, absolutely, put me to work, compared to, I think so, which one do you think that seller is going to be more confident? The first version or the second one? The first one. The first, yes. Because they're going to be like, okay, this agent didn't even hesitate. Absolutely. Put me to work. Let me show you what I got. So your tonality, when you're calling an expired, now we get this all the time. They're pissed off. They're mad. They're many times, I like to say it's almost like you're talking to a tree. They have no emotion. So when you're talking to an expired, your tonality needs to match theirs. And that goes along with number 2, which is matching personalities. Hopefully everyone on here is already familiar with the 4 different type of personalities: the driver, the analyticals, the expressives, and the amiables. So when you incorporate your tonality along with knowing the type of personality that you're dealing with, this is what's going to immediately help you stand out versus any other agent that's making phone calls. So if you are, for example, a driver is very direct, they're usually very short, so you have to match them in their personality. This is crucial, especially over the phone. This is how in those first 5 to 10 seconds, they're either going to stay with you on the phone or they're going to hang up on you. Or they're going to listen to you or they're going to tell you, what do you want? I want to know what happened that your home didn't sell. So again, the drivers, the analyticals, when you're dealing with analyticals, they're very detail oriented. If you're at a listing appointment with an analytical, they might take a look at every single line in the contract. They might tell you, you know what, I need to hold off. I'm not going to sign anything right now. I want to know what I'm signing. Can you tell me all of the figures broken down? What is this fee right here? What is that fee over there? Analyticals, you have to be ready. And when you know the type of personality that you're dealing with from the start, this helps you be able to cater to them and be almost like a step ahead when you do end up meeting them, because you already know how they are. So you know with what information to come with. So if I'm dealing with an analytical at a listing appointment, I'm coming with things broken down. So some of the things that I'm going to address is, hey, you know what, Cam? These are all of the figures broken down because I know, and I'm sure that you want to know exactly where every penny is going, right? So they're gonna be like, oh wow, Cam, exactly, you get me. Versus someone that doesn't provide that, be like, dude, you're not even listening to me. Like, I need to know every single figure. So the drivers, it's more like, well, what are you gonna do to get my property sold? How long is it gonna take? And can you actually do it? And you need to be sharp and you need to come across very authoritative. When it comes to tonality, there's two things that are also helpful. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there's upswings and downswings. When your tone of voice is, when you're speaking with upswings, it almost sounds like you're asking questions. Downswings make you sound more authoritative. So let's say if I'm at home and I'm asking someone, hey, can you pass me the control? Versus, hey, pass me the control. One sounds more like I'm telling you to give me the control, and the other one is almost like I'm asking. So when you are talking with expireds or for sale by owners, you want to have and speak with a downswing tone, depending on what you're saying. The times that you do use upswings would be like, let's say you're talking to an expired and they're like, oh, you know what? I'm getting so many calls this morning. You guys are all so annoying. I'll be like, so tell me what happened? And it's a short, open-ended question. And then I don't say anything. I think something that we have to learn is to be okay with those silent pauses and letting the other person speak. Because now I'm asking, I'm like, it sounds like I'm genuinely curious, like, well, what happened? That's where I'm doing that downswing, the upswing. Is all of this making sense? Are you guys with me so far? Type a one in the chat. This is the best way for me to know that all of this is helpful information, because I can talk for hours, and I think at this point I'm already used to talking by myself, like at a camera for a long time, but it's great to get engagement. And if you have any specific questions, we'll save them for the end. So again, the tonality is important, and knowing the personalities that you're dealing with. If you want to build trust fast, you need to mirror their energy, their pace, and their word of choices that they use. So, for example, if I'm talking with someone and they talk very low, I'm going to mirror them and I'm going to talk very low. Or if someone's talking really loud, I'm not going to like scream, but I'm going to mirror them in that sense as well. Or if someone talks fast, I'm going to try and talk fast as well. Or if someone talks very slow, I'm going to try to talk very slow. Jenny, tell me what happened that your home didn't sell. Because then that's how they feel like, oh, this person, they're just like me. And that's how we want to at least be able to have longer conversations. The pace, the energy, and the word of choice. So, what the word of choice, what I mean by that is, let's say they say, oh, I'm just feeling frustrated. Oh, then I would use the word feeling. Oh, Cam, I completely feel your pain. So it's almost like you're using some of the words that they're giving you when you are repeating and affirming. And the next one, influence with intent. So use your tone, which is kind of summarizing what we just went over. Your tone, your personality awareness. So knowing what personality you are dealing with to guide the conversation to an appointment. I think one of the biggest mistakes that we make, especially as you're trying to get consistent with prospecting, is that you're probably not asking enough questions to find out the motivation. And maybe you're so excited that you have someone that you think is a potential seller, and you're just going for the appointment instead of asking the questions regarding the motivation. So let's say, Mr. Seller, what happens if the home doesn't sell? Where were you looking to go to? When did you want to be there? How did your spouse feel about it? That's a really good question. Ask how their spouse felt about the home, about them selling. So let's say if it's an expired, how does your spouse feel about you guys not being able to move? Because they might say, oh, you know what, Cam, my wife was super excited. She still wants to move to California like tomorrow. Okay, great. So it sounds like she's on board. How about yourself? And then it's almost like you're asking one question at a time. But when you ask about the spouse, now you can really see, okay, who's the most excited about this move? And then you can use that to try and guide the conversation. Or someone might say, you know what? We really wanted 800,000 and we were getting offers for 500,000. So if we can get 800, we're not going to sell. Then I want to find out, I totally get it. You know, how did you guys come up with that 800,000 number? Again, I'm asking open-ended questions. I want to find out the logic of why they want a certain number. I want them to explain to me and justify to me that number that they want. So again, so what's so important about 800,000? So what if someone came with an offer 750 cash close in 2 weeks? What would you do? Or okay, so another question that I would ask is 800,000. They might say, yeah, you know, it's because the neighbor down the street, they sold for 850 and our house is a little bit smaller. Then I would say, well, did your last agent go over comparables based on what actual market value is? And they might say, no, they didn't. They just listed the house for what we said. So then now we have to dig on the motivation. Okay, well, you guys say you were moving to Ohio. What was taking you there? So again, it's almost like you're circling back to the motivation, because if the motivation is not there, especially right now, and depending on the market that you're in, the last thing that you want to do is take an overpriced listing or work with a seller that's not really motivated or serious, because then what's going to happen is that the home is going to sit. They're going to think that you don't know what you're doing, or you might have to go back and get price reductions. And they might say, no, you said you can get us 800. And that's the last thing that we want happening. So now we're going to move on to the systems to stay consistent. Because once you know, you master the communication, now you have to be consistent, which this is also one of the things that I think a lot of us struggle with. So the first is scripts that convert. Use the proven dialogues that turn calls into appointments. I just gave you right now a few different dialogues that I use. Really, the important ones is just asking open-ended questions to dig for motivation. And you might feel awkward, or it might feel weird, or you might think that you might seem like you're being pushy as you're asking these questions. But just know, as long as someone is staying on the phone with you, just keep asking questions until someone hangs up on me or says, Loida, stop calling me. Don't ever call me again. I don't want to work with you or anything. Then I'm like, okay, I did everything that I could to try and convert this person. Didn't work out. But if they stay on the phone, even if they're like, I got to get going, I say, you know what, Cam, really quick, what was taking you to Ohio? And then if they continue talking, I'm just going to keep on asking questions. And I promise you, if you do that, next thing you know, you're going to set the appointment. And they're going to be like, yeah, just send me the information. Okay, perfect. Thursday at 5, are you and your husband available? Yeah, that works. Okay, great. I'll put it on my calendar. This is tentative. I'll shoot you a text so you have that info, and we'll touch base again soon. Okay, perfect. So then from there, what I would do is that I send that potential lead a text message letting them know, hey, Jenny, just thanks again for your time and chatting with me right now. Looking forward to meeting Thursday at 7 o'clock. Here's my info so you have it. We'll talk soon. Because the moment someone gives you a time and a day and it comes from them, the commitment, usually people like to be able to say that they're going to stick to something they commit to. So if I can try and get an appointment from someone, I'll do it. If they're like, you know what, just call me back, and you'll get those people that just want to get you off the phone and end up hanging up on you, then I would call them back at another time. A video text message. I'm glad that Donna put that in the chat. That would be the next thing to do. So whether it's a video text message or a regular text message, the video text for sure works a lot better. And it would be directly from your phone. I know, Cam, you have asked before if you should do it through like a system that sends it out. I like to do it through my cell phone directly, especially if it's a good one, especially if it's someone that I have set an appointment with. So it's not going to be like 10 or 100 people every day. It might be like maybe 3 or 4 the 3 or 4 conversations that I have, and then I'll just shoot that very short, quick message. Hey, Cam, this is Loida, the realtor. Just got off the phone with you. Really looking forward to connecting on Thursday at 7 and helping you possibly move to Ohio. Talk soon. That's it. Nothing crazy, nothing over the top. It's just like a short so that they can put a face to the name, be like, oh, okay, so that's what they look like. So when you go over, they already feel like they know you. So here are some tips as well when it comes to the intro. You want to mirror how they answer. So I like to say their first name. So if I'm calling Andrew, hey Andrew, it's Loida. I'll say it like that. It's Loida versus, hey Andrew, my name is Loida. And the reason is because when you say it's Loida, they think for like a split second that we already know each other. It's like, hey Cam, it's Loida. And then you're like, do I know a Loida? Who's Loida? Versus, I know if I hear someone say, hey Loida, my name is Josh. I'm like, okay, this person's probably a telemarketer. I don't know who they are. They're probably going to try to sell me something. So the likelihood of me wanting to stay on the phone with them is probably going to go down. So I like to say, hey Loida, or hey Cam, it's Loida, Loida the realtor. Really quick calling about that property you had that came off the market on Main Street. Was that a mistake or did it already sell? That's typically the line that I like to use with expireds because it's very different than some of the typical lines like, oh, I was calling because I saw your home came off the market unsold and I wanted to know when you're going to be interviewing agents again for the job of actually getting it sold. For me, I think that's way too long that I might lose someone. So I'm like, hey, Cam, this is Loida the realtor. Really quick, that property you had on Main Street that just came off the market, was that a mistake or did it already sell? I know it didn't sell, but I want them to tell him, no, it didn't sell. We're not looking to sell anymore. Oh, you're not? What happened? Oh, we had a bad experience. The last agent said that we were going to sell in under 30 days and blah, 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 whatever. So I just want to open that door for the dialogue for them to start venting to me. So usually the most upset people or like the most frustrated people that you get over the phone are usually the ones that were the most motivated. And that's why they're really pissed off because they wanted to sell and something happened. And now they're getting a whole bunch of calls from agents telling them, hey, when are you going to list your house or you list your house with me or whatever. So with those people, that's when you really have to ask those open-ended questions with the downswing tonality so that they hear you and they're like, oh, this person sounds legit and not just like another agent trying to get a listing. So if you want to take a picture of these two so you have it, you want to mirror how they're feeling. What I mean by that is if someone is just kind of going off in the beginning, oh, all of you guys, you're so annoying. I've been getting calls since 7:30 in the morning. Like, where were you when my home was on the market? You know what, Cam? I completely understand your frustration. I would be pissed off as well. So what do you think happened? And then I stay quiet. Because then now I let them talk. So I've like mirrored their frustration. I'll be like, I'm pissed off too. I'd be mad as well. And I know I'm sure that you're annoyed at all of the agents calling you, right? So why do you think the home didn't sell? I don't let it bother me. I don't let their frustration like throw me off. I address it and then I ask my question. Oh, well, you know what? We wanted to move to Nebraska because of XYZ. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, did you guys get any offers or what was the activity like? And again, as long as you have your questions that you ask to find out the motivation, you just go down the list. And usually the people that vent to you, they'll tell you everything you need to know without you even asking the question. So you just have to make sure that you are kind of like writing down the notes and figuring out. I like to say it's almost like we're doctors. It's like I'm diagnosing, like, depending on what they're saying. Okay, you got activity, but no offers. Okay, maybe it was a price. Okay, let's talk about the agent. How do you feel about the agent? Oh, the agent fell off the face of the earth. Okay, did you get any? What did they say the reason that they weren't getting offers was? Oh, because I don't know that they actually didn't tell me anything. Then I'll go on the MLS. So, I mean, these are just some of the things that I like to go over when I'm talking to these people. But again, once I'm breaking through in those first, 5 to 10 seconds, and I get them to open up to me, even if they're frustrated, then from there, I know that I got them. It's just a matter of asking the questions and asking them in a way that I sound like, like an authority, like a boss. It's like, okay, this girl knows what she's saying. And if I don't answer, she's not going to let me off the phone. So might as well just answer what she's asking me. So when it comes to also staying consistent, the daily structure, I wanted to put this on here because I'm sure someone would ask, Loida, how many contacts do I have to make every single day? So if you are a newer agent, maybe 15 to 20 conversations per day. This will help you build skills, confidence, and consistency. If you're a full-time agent, 20 to 30 conversations per day. And again, these are the minimums. And this will usually help you get to at least 1 or 2 appointments a day. And obviously, top producers, 40 to 50 conversations a day. And also, one thing to note is that how many appointments you set a week is going to depend on your skills. Again, talking to people, converting them into appointments and things like that. Because I can tell you, when I was new, and I knew at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. There was one day specifically that I made it a goal to talk to 100 people in one day. So 100 actual conversations. And it took me 12 hours. I started at 8 o'clock, and I'm like, until I hit the 100, I'm not going to stop. And I think it was call number 96 at around 7:45 p.m. I set my appointment, the very first appointment, listing appointment. And then I ended up finishing like at around 8:15, 8:30. So for me, being newer, that was a way for me to see, okay, if I talk to 100 people, it usually takes 100 contacts for me to get an appointment. Also, something that will come into play is the lead source that you're going after. If you're going after an expired or for sale by owner, that might be less because you're talking to actual hot leads. Versus if you're circle prospecting, might have to talk to more leads to actually get to an appointment. So again, it all depends on your skills, the questions that you ask, how good you are over the phone to help you determine, what that might look like for you. So when it comes to an accountability and system, how many of you are actually tracking numbers right now? Maybe you're like, I know I got to track my numbers and I did it for like a week, but then I kind of fall off. So type a 1 in the chat if you are tracking your numbers. A 0.5. Yes, I know. A 1. Okay, Adam's tracking his numbers. It's okay. I'm going to say, if you don't respond, I'm going to assume -2. Oh no. Okay. I get it. Tracking numbers is something that probably we're like, you know what? I just want to get to that appointment and that person that wants to sell. I'm not really tracking who I'm calling or how many people. But look, tracking your numbers is going to help you be able to know exactly what numbers you have to hit to get to that goal, whether it's a listing or income goal. So the numbers that you want to track is the calls that you're making, the conversations that you're having, the appointments that you're setting, the listings that you're taking, and also you want to track how many of those listings actually closed. But the ones that we do want to focus on are going to be the top 4. So I want you to think back, and this is probably going to be like your homework that you can do after tonight. Think back the last 10 or maybe the last 30 days. If you set any appointments, how many of those appointments did you actually get the listing? Because maybe let's say you went on 4 appointments and you got 2 listings, then your conversion rate is 50%. So what we want to figure out is how many appointments you need to go to get an actual listing. And then it's almost like you reverse engineer. So if you're tracking your calls, when you're tracking your calls and conversations, now you're going to see, okay, I made 300 calls today and I had 30 conversations. And out of those 30 conversations, I set 1 appointment. So then over time, you're going to see, okay, I need to talk to at least 30 people to get 1 appointment. So over a week, let's say I talk to, or I do it 6 days a week, that's 180 people. I might have 6 appointments. I know this is a lot of math, and that's probably why maybe a lot of you don't like to track your numbers, because they're just a lot of numbers and figures. But this is going to help you, obviously, because if we are in this business and we're just, picking up the phone and calling people, we're not really even tracking how many people we're calling, then it's almost like we're blindly trying to get business. And if you do get business, you at least want to know where it's coming from. So, okay, we have about 20 minutes. Has all of this been helpful so far? Hopefully, yes. Type a yes in the chat. And then towards the end, I'm going to make sure to look through all the questions, because I think some of you have posted some stuff. All right. And then let's talk about role play and follow up. I always talk about this. You probably hear it all the time from whether it's other agents or your broker. Role playing is extremely important. And also following up, because there's no point in us talking to people and getting contacts and then we're not following up with them. Or maybe when you do follow up with them, it turns out that they're like, you know what, Loida, you just missed me by one day. I just listed with someone else yesterday. And maybe it was that day that you're like, oh, I don't feel like making a call. I'll call it tomorrow. Because I have felt like that, where I'm like, oh, I just want to be lazy. Everyone has been like really mad so far that I've talked to. And then the moment that you don't do it is when someone else kind of like swoops in. So role playing is extremely important. If you can, make sure that you get someone to do it every single day. I would recommend at least 30 minutes. When I was newer, I remember doing it between 7:30 and 8, because I would start my calls at 8 o'clock. So that kind of warmed me up. So at 8 o'clock, some of the scenarios that I had just role played, I would hear over the phone. So if you are maybe looking for a role play partner, I do have a community on School that you guys can join and probably even post on there. I know that Julian is on here. He has posted on there about role play partners. So you guys can scan this code, or you could just go to school.com/prospecting. In there, there's also a lot of other courses and classes that you can take a look at. So it's all under the classroom section. And that's probably where this training is going to end up being after tonight. So there's a lot of stuff in there. As you can see, we have that second one, role play and meetup recordings. Occasionally I do role plays and meetups with everyone in the group. So whether you have a scenario or whatever it is, you can hop on there and role play with me and I can give you some feedback. So with that being said, I've given you a lot of information. I'm actually going to be doing a prospecting boot camp September 22nd through the 26th, where I'm going to dive even deeper with everything that I have given so far and also what I'm going through. So I just wanted to pop that in here for a quick second. So it's top of mind. I will go over some more of the details later. Tara, you want the QR code for our school? There you go. Just take a picture of this, and then you guys can just click it on your pictures on your phone. And if not, I'll give it to you at the end as well. So I want you guys to be the agent that people trust before they meet. And the way to do that is by building authority with YouTube. So YouTube beats, Instagram and TikTok long term. When I started my journey on YouTube, I remember that I started creating content on there because, just like many of you, I was like, okay, I just became an agent. I want to know what it's like to be a realtor. I hear all this about cold calling and door knocking and scripts, but what does that even really mean? So I remember just telling myself, you know what, let me start documenting my journey. So when it comes to YouTube, this platform, it's the second most visited website globally. And it's also the second largest search engine after Google. And Google owns YouTube. So think of YouTube as a lead generation platform. Now, I asked you guys earlier, some of you have not started, some of you have. First of all, if you have done it, if you have a YouTube channel, do you have your channel set up correctly? Or are you even being intentional with what you're posting? Or are you're like, I'm just posting whatever on there? Or maybe you're like Chris Farley right here. You're like, I have no idea, Loida. I've been told post on YouTube. So I just throw on there my dogs, my houses, anything that I can think of. If I were to guess, maybe some of you might do that. I have seen Some channels where it's, property tours, and then you see like a little kid's birthday party. It's like Timmy's five-year birthday party. I'm like, how's this relevant? So when it comes to YouTube, to build authority, especially if you're just starting out, this is what I did. And I want you to know that it's not about like going viral or anything like that. One of the first ways that you can start building authority is by recording a video for every common question that you get from your clients, whether it's buyers or sellers, and answer one question at a time. Because what you want to do is that you want to start building almost like a playlist. So if you see number 3 here, so you're going to record videos. It could be about the buying and selling process. And what you're going to do is you're going to add these to a playlist where you title them accordingly. So like, for example, buying a home 101, or selling your home made simple, or home ownership tips and mistakes to avoid. So when it comes to creating content that can help you, even if you don't have, subscribers or views, the reason that you want to start creating these videos is because as you are creating them and building almost like a database, a portfolio of videos that are educational for your clients, the next time that you do meet with a client, or that you send an email out, or maybe you have a buyer or a seller, you want to start including your YouTube channel. Maybe you have a first time buyer that's going to be working with you, and you're like, maybe I'm the buyer, and Danny's my realtor. Danny can send me an email. Hey, Loida, really excited to help you find your next home. Here are some of the next steps. By the way, check out these videos that I have created. They might answer a lot of the questions that you have about buying a home. So then now they start to see you most likely in their computer, on a big screen, or on their TV, or on their phone. And when it comes to YouTube, a lot of people nowadays are watching content on their TV or their computer. So there's this effect of when someone sees you on a screen, now they almost see you kind of like a celebrity and an authority. So that's what you want to do. I have met many agents, and look, I'm not a celebrity, but many of them have been, when they meet me the first time, they're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity. I'm not a celebrity. You've just been seeing so much of me over the years, and a lot of the content that I have put out, that it gives that effect. So that's exactly what I want happening for you, so that it gets to the point that when you do meet with someone, they're like, you know what, Cam, we've seen all your videos. We're ready. We know we want you to help us. What ended up happening with me as well is that as I'm calling these expireds and setting these appointments, and they're like, you know what, just send me your information. You want to be able to include your YouTube channel on there, because that's how they're going to see and be like, oh, this person actually knows what they're doing. So again, this is not about becoming a YouTuber or going viral. It's about becoming an authority that homeowners look to when they're ready to sell. So some other basic things that you want to make sure that you have on your YouTube channel is your channel banner. So the top section of your YouTube channel, make sure that it's legible. If there's a specific area or city or state or type of client that you want to attract, you need to be very intentional with this platform. And again, think of it as a lead generation platform. So what type of clients do you want to work with? Is it buyers? Is it sellers? Is it new construction? We've seen a lot of agents that are doing just like new construction tours. Whatever it is, this is what I mean by being intentional. So just put real estate stuff. I would leave out anything that's like family related, that's not related to real estate, because it's not relevant. So again, have your channel banner, fill out your about section. That way people know, because if someone bumps into one of your videos, they're probably going to go to the about section and be like, who is this? So if you want to have it on there, Cam from Wellington, North Carolina, happy to help you find your home, or whatever it is. Now with AI and ChatGPT, you can ask ChatGPT to create an about section for you. You also want to make sure that in every video that you post, you add your link on how people can reach you. If you post, you want to make sure in the description, put on there your information. So maybe it's a lead magnet, maybe it's your Calendly, Maybe it's your Instagram. So think of it, where do I want to send people if they were to want to look me up? I would keep your links at least maybe like two. Don't put too many, because the easier you make someone to go follow you on Instagram, or maybe your lead magnet, now you can start collecting information. And like I said, use ChatGPT to help you with titles and descriptions. Now, because I know many of you are probably like, you know what, Loida, I'm not that tech savvy when it comes to ChatGPT. I have a prompt here for you. So take a picture of this prompt, because this prompt is what you'll be able to plug on there, and it's going to give you titles. When it comes to titles, you want to title a video something that you think, what are people searching for? Again, if it's like a video, let's say this is not even real estate related, but I'm not going to put Timmy's 5th year birthday party, because no one's searching that unless Timmy's like a huge celebrity. But if I want to, but if maybe it was like an extravagant birthday party, I'm going to put extravagant birthday party for 5-year-old went like this, or whatever it is. But again, use this prompt, because again, we want ChatGPT to help us get and give us high ranking, click worthy YouTube titles with an SEO optimized description. You want to always have a title and the description filled out with keywords so that you are found, and tags that are optimized for the YouTube algorithm. So the more information that you can fill out, the better, instead of just throwing, a video on there and just putting the video but not filling out any information. Other type of videos that you can create, in case you're still wondering: educational, listing and market updates, and local content, whether it's like community or insider tips. So let's say if there's a specific neighborhood that you work in and you want to talk to people about, the top 5 things to do for families to do in Miami, Florida, or whatever, or top 5 coffee shops. Usually the videos that do very well is if you are listing like 5 or 10 or 6 or 20 or things like that. um, Anything specific to like the community, or maybe like top 3 water parks to visit if you're going to Orlando, Florida. So just think of it, things like that, because then what you can do, let's say I did go that route. Now I can have ChatGPT help me create some type of guide of 20 things to do if you're visiting or if you're moving to Orlando. I can now make that a lead magnet, so that when I do a YouTube video specifically on exciting things to do, in the description, I can link that guide that I can now just, through ChatGPT and Canva put together. And that would be a great way to start collecting information. So I'm just throwing out ideas so that you can start thinking outside the box, because maybe you hadn't thought about this. But again, utilizing AI and ChatGPT is really going to make things so much easier for you. So now, with everything that I had mentioned, you're dominating prospecting and you're building authority on YouTube. And something I like to say is prospecting pays the bills, but authority builds wealth. And what I mean by that is that as you're building authority and you're creating this content, your clients and people are going to start to recognize you as an authority in the real estate space. They're probably going to refer you clients. As you're also creating content, there's probably going to be agents that are going to find you, and maybe they're not local to you, but they're going to start referring you business. So that's exactly what has happened to me. So you start to get agent to agent referrals. Along with that, as you start growing an audience, and maybe you already have Instagram or TikTok an audience on there, you can apply for even, like, let's say the Amazon influencer program. So let's say if you want to start creating some content where you're referring people certain things to buy for their house, maybe you could start earning some commissions that way as well. So I mean, there's so many opportunities. Or you become so you do content that's very specific to a niche in your area, then now there's going to be maybe other local content creators that want to do stuff with you, or companies that reach out and are willing to pay you. So I mean, there's so many opportunities that can end up coming to you by just putting yourself out there and people finding you. Julian, I see you put content is evergreen. When you create content that's evergreen, which means that it's something that is never gonna like go out of style and people are always searching, you're gonna pop up. So that's how some of my cold calling videos are always popping up, because it's something that people are searching, whether it's 5 years ago, right now, or 5 years later. People are gonna want to know, what is it like to call a for sale by owner? So this works. As you guys can see here, this was my very first for sale by owner call. That's a completely different Loida than the Loida now. I mean, the quality of that video and even the Loida right now, I'm like way more confident. I'm much better in camera, but over time, it was just making thousands of calls. I was not, the best in the beginning. You can see the comments in that video of people just like, oh, this girl sucks. And I'm like, I know, you don't have to tell me twice. I get it that I'm not that good. But over time, I just continue to make calls and keep getting better. Um, when it comes to prospecting as well, I recently posted this picture on social media. This is Mrs. Rivas. I was cold calling. I was circle prospecting, and when she picked up, she was like, "You know what? I'm actually looking for my 12th investment property." And she was like, "How did you know I was looking?" And I was like, "I know, right? Great timing. So what are you looking for?" She told me exactly what her criteria was. She was like, "I have cash that I just need to place in a property. Can you help me?" So after I pre-qualified her, she told me she had proof of the money in her bank account. So I actually ended up going to her house and picking her up to drive her to see the properties. And we ended up finding a property. I can't remember what the price was, but negotiated it $20,000 down, and the agent was paying out 2%. I negotiated 3% to be paid to me, and they agreed on everything. And 10 days later, we closed. And she was happy and excited. She's right there. It's crazy. When we were driving back to her house, she was like, "Yeah, I own that one and that one and that one." I'm like, this lady, she owned that entire block, and you would never know. She was 75. So don't think that, don't judge a book by its cover, because this lady had the money. She was ready to buy. She didn't even think twice. I presented the opportunity. I got to work. We got the job done. When it comes to YouTube, want to also show you these two messages. I always get a lot of them, but for example, this one on the left came from Tess. "I've watched many of your YouTube videos and found you to be very knowledgeable of California real estate. Would it be possible if my husband and I meet with you in person, because we're finding ourselves in a conundrum with respect to selling our house in Duarte?" So this was an actual seller that has been watching my YouTube videos that usually are just for real estate agents, ended up meeting with them a couple times and created a game plan for them to sell the property. This one right here on the right, Sil, pretty much he said, "The main reason I'm reaching out is I own a fourplex in Long Beach that I may be forced to sell, and I'm looking for someone who can help me sell it. I'm hoping you can help me out with this. Please email me back if you can." Again, found me on YouTube. Now with that one, ended up listing that property, 1.5 million, $65,000 commission from someone that found me on YouTube. So hopefully, I'm showing you this because all it takes is one video and one person to reach out to you. It's nothing crazy. You don't need thousands of followers or subscribers or views. If you are creating the content that's going to attract the people that you want to work with, they're going to be like, "Adam is an expert in Nashville. I need to reach out to him. Adam, I have this property I'm looking to sell. I want to move to Tennessee. Can you help me?" Perfect. And if you're like, "Well, you know what, Loida, everyone's doing the same content that I want to do." Yeah, there's always going to be people that are doing the same content, but you are unique to you. And there's going to be people that relate to you that don't relate to me. They'd rather work with Cam than work with Loida. So that's why I say, you know what? Just do the content. There's been agents, I see it all the time, that they do the same videos that I have done, title the same thumbnail. I'm like, you know what? Good for them, because at least they're also getting business and they're putting themselves out there. But YouTube, it works. And I just want to show you some of the wins. And Cam, I actually included him on here. So I'm going to start with this one in the middle. In school, like I mentioned, I always do role plays and meetups. So Cam joined recently one of them, and he's like, you know what? It helped him land the first listing by just implementing some things like post dating a listing agreement and actually also doing video messages. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that I teach, if you implement it, it works. Also, Stephanie here on the left, she was a part of one of my boot camps. That very first day of the boot camp, she got her very first listing signed. Also, Heather, you know, uh, having more confidence, making calls after the boot camp. So, and then Rusenda over here on the right, she went a lot after for sale by owners, and she had mentioned, you know what, I sent out an agreement earlier and no response. So I gave her some tips. I told her what to say and what to do. And after our call, she decided to call that person back, confirmed everything, and he signed right then and there. So again, these are things that like I have done. And I like to say, if I'm telling you what to do, it's because it works. It's just a matter of like putting it into play. But here's a problem. You know, you now understand the framework, but information without implementation will be no result. I gave you so much information and I've spent hours creating this presentation. Hopefully you like it because I try to make it nice and pretty. But again, if you don't implement it, you're not gonna get the results. And what I want is that you guys implement this. You send me messages and you're like, you know what, Loida, I did what you said, and I got that listing appointment. So what I'm gonna be doing and something else is that most agents fail because they don't have accountability scripts and coaching to apply it. So the Dominate Prospecting Bootcamp that I'm going to be doing, it's September 22nd to 26th, 5 days, where I'm going to be breaking down pretty much everything that I just went over in the course of 5 days, where it's going to be a lot more information. It's not for everyone. It may be for you. I'm going to give you the details here soon of how you can find out more info. But what I really like to do in these boot camps is take a look at everyone individually and their business, and also just kind of like how they talk and give you tips and pointers that way. So what else is going to happen here is I'm going to be giving frameworks to set appointments, convert leads, and win listings, the scripts, role play practice to overcome objections, more sales and psychology techniques, and obviously a YouTube strategy specifically for each one that will set you apart. Because sometimes, like I said, you know, in the beginning, we're always posting stuff. It's like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and you're like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. I just know that I've been told to do something, but I don't know if it works. So here is a QR code that you can scan. It'll take you to the website, or you can just go to dominateprospecting.com. All of the details are there. And pretty much if you ever said, you know, I just want someone to tell me exactly what to do in this boot camp, that's pretty much what I'm going to be going over. So again, it starts September 22nd through the 26th. All of the calls are going to be recorded, so you're going to have access to them and watch them anytime. There's probably going to be like PDFs and accountability and a whole bunch of stuff. So pretty much everything is on there. You can take a picture of this, you can scan it and take a look at it later. But with that being said, I'm pretty much wrapped up with my presentation, and I'll take any questions if anybody has any.